Hey everybody, Robert with RC Archery. In this Tuesday's Tip of the Week video, we're going to be going over my equipment list, what I use to set up bows, what I use to work on them, and then what I take with me to tournaments. I'm going to give you an idea of everything that you can use as a starter kit, and then just give you also an idea of what I'm using as well. And it's not going to be a full list. There's going to be some things that I leave off here and there, just like stuff for arrow fletching and things of that nature. I'm mainly just wanting to hit on more the equipment like my bow presses and things like that to set up the bow, because I get a lot of questions on that, and I think this will be an easier way for me to direct everybody that asks me that versus me having to type it out every time and worrying that I'm missing stuff. One thing I want to go over really quick, a couple things I want to go over really quick. Podcast is still working. I recorded number 8. Different, it's podcast. Recorded number 8 today. It was posted out there. It's going to be on iTunes, Podbean, and Spotify. So it'll be out there for all of those different places. You can listen to it, you can check it out. I went over some aiming, some way that we're using our subconscious to be able to take over the shot, what we're doing as far as building tension to hold a little steadier on target, and our shot timing, our windows, and how all that works together and make it go and work the correct way for you. That was something that I had an in-person coaching session over the weekend that kind of jogged my memory and my brain a little bit on it, and I thought it would be a good topic to kind of talk over while it was fresh on my mind. Another thing is bow raffle. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's RCRCHERY. Check me out on there. I have a live bow raffle going on right now. It's in conjunction with my local archery range. It's Alvarado Archery. And what I'm doing is going through, and whoever wins gets to pick from a Hoyt, Matthews, Bowtech, or PSE, some of the models that they have there. And I have those listed on my Instagram channel for you to be able to go and check out which ones are eligible. And it's gonna be basically just me going into the archery shop. I'm gonna film it, I'll pick the bow, I'll purchase it, I'm gonna mail it to you. It's gonna come with a set of free strings of your choice from Rogue Bowstrings, whichever model, colors, all of that, and then a coaching session. There's also a side pot going on right now that if you tag 5 or more people in the post, then I will draw from that, and then whoever wins that will get a free coaching session with me too. And that's gonna be the full coaching package that I have that normally is $150. It comes with a video and unlimited time. So however long it takes us to do whatever we want to do over however long. So it's a pretty cool deal, pretty awesome. The archery range that I am going to, the Alvarado Archery Range, they're wanting to start some more kids programs, maybe a league night for kids. They've done some birthday parties for them. It's a really awesome deal. Purchasing that bow through them and just kind of raising awareness and being able to give back to my local archery range to help out with children's programs as well. Pretty awesome for me too. I think that'll be really fun. But with all that being said, let's get into the video. All right, so probably the number one thing that I use most is my bow press. This bow press is a Last Chance Archery Easy Press. I have had this for years upon years. It's held the test of time. It gets used a lot, not only on my own bow, but other people's bows as well. And I mean, it's solid. I can take a bow completely down with it. I can press my bow and check my, my cams, when I need to adjust on there, when I need to adjust my draw length, work on the bow, whatever it may need to be. Super awesome. I think it's super important if you're serious about working on bows. Definitely want to get a good press, because you'll learn more about the bow and how it works and what you can do to manipulate how it works than any other way possible. And it's just trial and error a lot of the times. I mean, there's info out there that'll help you, but that knowledge and knowing, hey, if I'm holding a certain way or a certain feel is happening with the bow, knowing what you can just throw it into the press and change that feel or what's happening is super important. Along with my bow press, I use a drawboard, and my drawboard is very important along with my scale. The scale in my drawboard is something that I use to be able to bypass the have to check the ATA, have to check the brace height, wondering if everything's set up the correct way. I use this to completely customize my bow, my draw length, my let-off percentage, my holding weight, everything. This is what helps me a ton. The drawboard that I'm using is a hybrid. I've actually got the peg from a Last Chance Archery drawboard. I liked it better, but the drawboard winch itself is an Archery Designs drawboard winch. And I liked its function better because it's got, instead of cords, it's got a flat tethered surface here to be able to pull through. It has better connection as it's coming in and out. It doesn't want to slip or jerk or move. It seems to work really smoothly. And the best part about this is, in conjunction with the press, I can micro adjust what I'm seeing as fast or slow as I want to be able to see how the bow is getting to full draw with my cams. And what I mean by that is I can get it really close with the clicks on the winch here, and then I use the hand crank on the press to be able to crank the bow down to get the cams just touching the limbs or just touching the cables, depending on the bow. And I can tell you if they're hitting at the same time or if they're off or whatever it is. I can get an exact reading on holding weight that way and my draw length. Super important for me to have. I can't stress enough how much the combination of these two things has taken my archery to the next level. All right, so kind of moving on from my press, let's look at some of the tools that I'm using to actually work on the bow from some different aspects. So what you see right here in front of you is some pretty standard items that I use, and I personally have gotten over time to really like. One of them is a set of digital calipers here. I use this to check for my D-loop length. I think it's a really accurate way to kind of run through and use here. I can check the length of the D-loop. I can get it really specific into what I'm really wanting it to be and get it to be consistent from one setup to another. These are the pliers that I'm using right now for my D-loop, and other things that I'm using as well. These are from Easton. They've got an area that I can cut D-loops off, other thread material. Obviously you can hold things on there. You can do stuff with nocks. They've got some notches here on the end. This is actually what I use to spread my D-loops out and kind of torque down on them. Those are super valuable for me to use. I have a pair of scissors. I don't use a lot with knives or anything when it comes to serving material and things of that nature. I'm just paranoid about cutting stuff. So I use these scissors to cut off excess serving material. And then I actually use a pair of nail clippers to cut old serving knots. So whenever I tie in peeps or knock sets or D-loops or something like that, I use that to be able to cut those off. Some other tools that I'm using when I'm setting up my bow are these levels. Now these levels that I bought off of Lancaster Archery, super valuable. This clicks onto the string. You can get everything level, left, right, up, and down. I've got two different types of levels that I actually hang onto the arrow itself. You see this one's got some markings and everything on here, and this one does not. I don't use this one hardly at all. I actually use this one more than anything because I set everything 90 degrees. I'll hang this on my arrow and I use that to help me up, and I'll set up my knock points and everything of that nature. I've got videos that I've done on this in the past to show you more about that and kind of let you know what I'm looking at. This tool, I mean, it's optional, as a lot of these are, but it's something that I really like to use. It's a string separator. So when I'm installing a peep on a brand new string, I'll use this end, I'll put it in there, twist it out, kind of notch it, set it in the string. It's just an easier way for me to kind of spread everything around and get it started on there. It seems to help a lot. Obviously lighters are important. Burn off the end of the serving, D-loops, make your, everything a lot smoother, a lot set up a lot nicer. Extra weights, I always keep those in there. A lot of extra little tools and stuff that I've used over the years. Peep sights, points, sight tapes. This was an old third axis level tool that I used. Don't really use that one a whole lot anymore. Actually what I use now is in this drawer, and it's a combination. So I've got a Hamskea third axis leveling tool. I sell these on my website. Use these for years, and that's why I sell them on my website. In conjunction with that, I also use a bright sight leveler, which is just another bubble that I can put on a sight or on my riser and just get an idea of what I'm seeing and kind of level everything out in a little bit different form. It seems to help me a lot. This is the only knife that I'm using. I do have this in here to cut certain material, just safety or a box cutter. I don't use it very often, but it is there when I need it. Draw stop peg comes standard with the Last Chance Archery. Bow presses, extra little pieces there, or little cutoffs there, extra tools and parts things that I didn't even know existed. That's actually from a Hoyt. That was one of the stops that I took off. I have this tool that I use loosely when I say tool. It's pattern. I set this up against the riser. It's pre-marked out for 3/4 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch. It was a way for me to check for center shot. I don't use that so much anymore. Really now what I'm doing more than anything is setting up everything in the center of the limb bolts and the riser, which isn't always the same, so I choose limb bolts over riser in that case. But it's there. Extra knocks, things of that nature. This is something I keep extra paper clips when I do strings. I have one that I can route out of, in and out of strings when I take old ones off and put new ones on. Lots of serving, lots of colors. This is one that a lot of people I talk about, specialty archery. This is an aperture kit. So this is a multi-aperture kit, and basically it just allows me to be able to choose from all these different sizes that screw in and out of this peep, which this is an extra one that I have, but see it screws in and out of there. And I use that because I want to know what size matches up with the scope housing and how I want it to look. And then I can use that, and now I use clarifiers, so I can use that to know what size clarifier to get, so that helps a lot. Obviously a lot of D-loop material, a lot of different types, a lot of different colors, and then Allen keys. This is an Allen key set that I use in there, and then I have another set in my quiver. So when it comes to a quiver, this is what I use. It's an Angel quiver. They're made in Japan. You gotta wait a little while to order these to get them in, but I love them. I think they're incredibly good quality. I've had this portion of the quiver, I've had the same one for, I don't know how long, how many years, 8, 9 years probably. I take care of it. It doesn't rot, it hasn't dried, it hasn't cracked, it hasn't fallen apart. I love it. I think it's great. Get some custom colors, really cool. I have a belt. This is the second one that I've gotten. It's RC Archery belt, obviously, but I think it's really cool just to have these. Some things that I keep in them. Let's look at it. So first and foremost, rangefinder. I use a Leupold. It's the one with the cut compensation, so it shows angles and everything too. I think that's really important to have if you can use them when it comes to shooting 3D or field and just different things of that nature. I think it's really awesome to have on there. Obviously a release pouch, True Ball release pouch. Keep a good release in there. You've seen this before, this is standard. Using that one for a while. Obviously the arrows. Here's something that I keep on here, and it's a counter. So a lot of people ask me what I use this for, what it's designed for, and I use this to keep track of my shots. If you've heard me talk in the past, knowing how many shots that I can take in a day to feel better the next day or what I'm doing, I use that as a way to keep track of it. Obviously a good arrow puller. These can come in handy. And then I keep a pin. So this helps me write down on targets what my score is at a tournament, on a scorecard, if I need to take notes, things of that nature. Pretty light packing in here. Don't have a ton of stuff. A couple different types of Allen keys. These are a little bit smaller set that I keep in there. And then I have this set, a little bit bigger, has for limb bolts. Seems to work really well for most applications that I would ever need it for. I keep a set of screwdrivers in here, different things, something our kids got over time. I have some knock tools in here, which is, I think, really important to have if you're ever out and you need to knock, tune, spine index, anything like that. Keep these. And then I have a pencil for when I don't want to use a pen for something, but I'm pretty light packed on my quiver. I don't take a lot with me when it comes to that. A lot of the stuff and the work and everything that I'm putting in is going to be here at home. It's going to be, with the equipment that you saw already. So this goes everywhere with me. I have a few miscellaneous tools. They're not always absolutely necessary for you to have, but it's stuff that I've gotten over the years that I think have made my life a lot easier. So I figured I'd mention them here too. This is a tool here. It's from Easton. It's for your limb bolts. I got this one for the PSE. I have one for a Hoyt. They're for multiple different ones too, but just the limb bolt sizes is what I use them on most. This comes in really handy just to have a good platform to hold. Doesn't hurt your hand. It's just easier. I don't know. I like it a lot better. With PSEs, they have a lot of Torx heads. So I use a screwdriver here that I've used with work and some other stuff going on in life. So I keep this with me. I have a couple different sizes that I use. Obviously a tape measure, I don't have it out here right now. I was actually measuring some stuff inside because I was making a custom product for someone. But tape measure is huge, being able to check your draw length, ATA, different things of that nature. And then, I don't know if it's super necessary, but I also, over here with my press, I keep a Last Chance Archery Easy Vise. And the Easy Vise in and of itself is probably not completely necessary because I've used different things in the past. I've used PVC stand for my bow, I've held the bow, I've used it on the bow pod, but it does make my life a lot easier, so I put it on there. It doesn't have to be this one, it can be any vise. This was one that's fairly new because they're expensive and I didn't have a full 100% use for it, but I had a time frame where I could get it, so I went ahead and purchased it. It does make my life a lot easier to be able to hold the bow up and be able to set things, put it on there, work on it, stuff like that. That's my list, guys. It's not super extensive. You can get that way. You can have a lot of different extra stuff. And you can have less than what I do, by all means. I worked on my bows with a lot less than what I have now. But over the years, it's just kind of acquired different parts and different things, and figured looking at my list like this, you can kind of look at it and say whether or not you would want one of those items for yourself and it matches what you're doing right now with your bow. But if you're gonna work on your equipment, press, drawboard, scale. Those are your big ones, start there. I think that'll work the best. If you want to support me on Patreon, I've got multiple different levels and I've reworked it from cheap to more. And some of them are going to be priority questions on my podcast. Some of it's that plus coaching. Some of it's just supporting me for what I'm doing, being able to have money to be able to set up my podcast, to have a longer time frame being on there since I have to pay for that service, equipment, prices like that. Bow raffle, check that out. Keep watching these videos, share, like, hit the bell so you get the notifications. YouTube's changed that now. You actually don't get the notifications anymore without the bell. So check it out, guys. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you soon.